Welcome everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a very blessed and wonderful day, and if not, I do pray and hope that it gets better. Today we are here to talk about some key things that I feel that if not avoided could possibly kill or damage the game at release. Now we've seen this happen with other games before, and while some have proven to stand the test of time, others tend to miss the mark very badly. So first up, I want to mention bad optimization. Now this is an issue that you really only tend to see on PC because with consoles, the developers know the exact specifications that they need to meet because every console has the same hardware. The games can be made to meet each capstone for each piece of hardware that's inside, and there's not really much guessing that's happening on the back end. With PCs, however, it's different because everyone has a different graphics card, CPU, hard drive, or anything else that could possibly be sitting in their PC tower. So for devs, when it comes to making a game, it has to be built on the premise of being able to run on a wide variety of different PCs because it can't be specifically made for just one or one type. Even more so when you think about how PC parts are always constantly changing and upgrading. That's already a hassle itself next to just making sure that it can run on any PC in general. You look at examples like Gotham Knights, which had major stuttering issues, limited CPU core usage, and more back during release, which made the game genuinely hard to play for a lot of people. I have another creator friend that I know who played Gotham Knights at release, and he had to mod the game just to make it playable. And he already has a beefy PC, yet he still couldn't play it. Like, it's weird. This is part of the reason why I mostly prefer gaming on consoles, because I can just boot up and play. I don't have to worry about it whether or not like 7 of my drivers are outdated, and that's gonna force me to close the game on boot up. Right? It's weird. Like, I have all of them, but it's the reason why I prefer console. Now, on console, the only thing that I was even experiencing was serious frame drops whenever somebody went too far in multiplayer, because it is untethered multiplayer in Gotham Knights, so you can go off and do whatever you want, but if you got too far, it would lag heavily. Now, we know that the console versions for Suicide Squad will target 60 FPS on console, but the PC specs won't be announced until it gets closer to launch. Seeing as how the game has been pushed back to February 2nd of 2024, I'm imagining that we might see PC specs, I would say, if not January, maybe late December. But I really hope that it's not like a week or two before, because we've had that before with another game, and yeah, that just that wouldn't be it. That would be very bad. Now, next up is a compelling and decently sized story. So Rocksteady's storytelling definitely has some high and low points all around, even though we do have a couple of bad apples, like this unforgivable mistake that they made in the past. We were told that a lot of the unresolved plot lines from the past Arkham games would get answered in Suicide Squad. Like, for example, who is this new Deadshot that has been leading the team, and what happened to the previous one, and what exactly has Batman been doing the past 5 years if he's back on the job as Batman and not the mysterious figure that everyone believes he has turned into at the end of Arkham Knight. The main story, however, does need to be able to carry its own weight and not specifically rely on what came before it, because besides Harley, these are all new characters to us. And Harley, well, honestly, she might as well be included, since, you know, her character here seems like a major upgrade from Arkham Knight in terms of character progression. We know the baseline of these characters, but who are they truly? Are they really evil, or is this more of a
When I say Zangief, you are bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy?
type of situation? You get what I mean, right? Like, villains, anti-heroes, heroes, where are we standing? Where's the line drawn right now? Everything ain't so black and white. Now, making us gamers care about the squad in the story is just as important as great gameplay, because a game's story can be talked about for years and years and years, and people will want to go back and play it over and over again just so that they can experience what we got to experience the first time around. Take Titanfall 2 as an example, one of the best FPS games to drop in the last decade, and it had a story that blew a majority of other FPS games in the water, and that storytelling has now carried over into Apex Legends. It's just, again, if you know about Titanfall 2, then you know the main reason why it really got unlucky was because it dropped right in between Call of Duty and Battlefield. One of the main reasons why that game just got overlooked. But I do recommend you all get your hands on Titanfall 2 if you can and just experience it, because it is a good game. Now, when the ball is dropped, that's how we end up getting games like Anthem, which had some solid gameplay. Like, I will stand on this to this day. Anthem has some very fun gameplay, but the story was honestly forgettable and very weak. And in terms of length, I would say a 40 to 50 hour story seems like the right amount of time. Like, for the average player, that is, right? Because gamers like myself that can finish, for example, Arkham Knight in a day's time, it took me like 10 hours to beat Arkham City. I'm not saying that the game needs to be incredibly long, but it also just can't be too short either. It's got to have a decent length. Pause. Now, next up would be the bad boss fight design.
Animal, you're gonna get eaten.
So here, right now, wait, before y'all get on my neck in the comments, there's a reason why I just showed what I showed. So I gave 3 examples of a funny design, a dope design, and a bad design. Electrocutioner has one of the best boss fights to me, simply because it's funny and dumb, and everyone who played this for the first time got hit with a major case of misdirection. We all thought it was going to be a legitimate boss fight, but no. However, like right after that, we got blessed shortly after, because you get to fight with Deathstroke. Quite possibly, well, actually, no, not even quite possibly. I'm pretty sure if you took a general consensus, everybody would agree that Deathstroke has the best boss fight out of all of the Arkham games. And then you get to him again in Arkham Knight, and you honestly start to, wonder who greenlit the idea to stick his ass in a tank. Boss fight design is very important, because just like the story, it sticks with the player, but to a much higher extent. Everybody who's watching this, and if you made it this far in the video, real quick, drop it down in the comments below. What boss from a video game do you have fond memories of, or which boss has ever given you PTSD? For me, it's Full Power Perfect Cell from Dragon Ball Z Budokai, a game that has broke me. There's never been a game that has broke me the way that fight did, and I will not revisit it ever. Now, the main bosses will be the League members, but I can't imagine that we're going to have our standard mini bosses in the form of Brainiac's minions all around the city. The boss battles need to be intense and larger than life, and a clear departure from the standard gameplay. It's got to feel like a major turning point for the story. It's got to be paced well, and it's got to be genuinely challenging. It can't just be a slugfest where the boss is either a damage sponge or the boss is damn near unkillable. Next up, we have the leading cause of death for so many live service games in the industry: lack of post-launch content. Now, there's really nothing more I need to say outside of Rocksteady just really needs to make sure of these 4 key things. The content we get needs to be fresh, enticing, good, and consistent. You need content that's not a repeat of what came before, because players will not care if it is the same old thing. For example, you can add in new gear and gear statuses all you want, but if we're stuck doing the same missions day in and day out, that's going to turn people off. Now, the content needs to be enticing. There's got to be a reason to make current players want to return, or just be hyped if they never left, and for new people to want to jump in and check it out. This can be done in a variety of ways: new characters, missions, gear, events, cosmetics, locations, mechanics, anything that can be thought of. There has to be more than a single reason just to keep a player here, because there has to be more than a single reason to keep a player here and keep them playing, because the mindset of simply playing because you enjoy the game itself, there's a lot of people that think that way. I think that way. However, that mindset will begin to fade after some time, once the interest starts running out, as more games end up releasing, or you simply just get tired of playing. The content needs to be consistent: seasons, events, battle passes, characters, new story. All of it needs to have a fair release schedule. Having the content drops be spaced out too far can put some serious strain on the player base, especially if there's not enough content to bide the time gap. Using DC Universe Online as an example, the shortest amount of time between episode drops for them was 1 month, at best 3 weeks. The longest was about 6 months. However, in between content drops, there was seasonal content as well, in order to help fill in those empty gaps. And they usually release around 3 to 5 episodes a year that bleed over into the next year, which, it kind of It just kind of melds together perfectly in a weird way. Now, I'm not saying that Rocksteady needs to take this exact approach, but going into the live service realm, having a decent baseline schedule for content that's subject to change if necessary will mean the world to players, because nobody wants to be sitting in the dark waiting 9 months for a content drop. I don't even know who would be there waiting 9 months for that. Or worst case scenario, we get an official roadmap. We get one thing off the map and it's canned. I'm talking about Anthem, in case you're confused. That game has unfortunately fell so far from grace. I'm still sad about it. It's still a very alive game though. You could hop on and find a team pretty easily. As long as you're playing on like normal or easy, because nobody's doing like Grandmaster 3 or nothing like that anymore. The last thing, which is communication. Now, in this day and age, communication is of the utmost importance. The developers cannot keep their heads to the ground or refuse to listen to its players, because that will drive, there's nothing that will drive away a game's community quicker in a heartbeat. Games that actively listen to its players can prosper for a very long time, or even come back from the brink of extinction. Like For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege, if y'all know how those games were at release, in the early stages of his life, then y'all would know just how bad things got. Like, there were dedicated seasons where there was no new content. It was specifically meant just to fix the servers and improve the gameplay. And even though the game can still be toxic, that's what they definitely did. And now For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege are still going strong to this day. If there's no communication, players can lose faith and trust in the studio. And that's really a double-edged sword if you look at it this way, because the players, we're losing our grip on a game that we all want to play and enjoy. And the studio is losing its status with the consumers. Open communication is the way to go, and it's the path that will help to ensure that both sides will have a fair shot at benefiting from the situation. Now, with all that being said, that's going to go ahead and bring us to the end of the video. So if there's anything that you guys would like to add in down on the comments below of what you think Rocksteady needs to avoid during the development and continued development of Suicide Squad, go ahead and let me know so we can get a conversation going. And if you've enjoyed the content that you saw here today, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and smack the notifications bell so that you will never miss out on any of my future Suicide Squad related content. And I will catch y'all in the moonlight. Peace.